Hey guys, how are ya? When I was growing up, I had two favorite games, Halo 2 and Morrowind. One was a fast-paced war against aliens, a game where you shot first and asked questions later. The other was something completely different, a slow-paced, gigantic hero fantasy that placed little restriction on your action. I had always wished these two games could somehow merge, creating the best game in existence. Today I'd like to discuss how we could come close to this dream game with Halo Infinite. Among the few leaks and details we've garnered about Halo 6 was the fact that it contains RPG elements. Now, this automatically intrigued me and brought back previous ideas I'd had for a Halo RPG. I'm sure I'm thinking too far into this here, but let's humor the idea for a moment, shall we? Before I forget, I'd like to mention that as soon as Bungie announced Destiny, I thought I was about to get my wish game. An open-world gunplay game with multiplayer, made by one of my favorite developers. Like, hell yeah. Except it sadly turned out to be more of a grindy experience. This aside, let's dive into the aspects of both Halo and Morrowind that I'd love to see funneled into an RPG. Halo's gunplay and lore are both superb and fairly extensive. There are an immense amount of locations, characters, races, etc. to see, and we often don't see them fully fleshed out in a video game. Imagine this. The game is set on a Halo ring with a huge explorable space, a la Morrowind. It's all free roam, and humans have just set foot upon it to explore. But there are other factions here as well. Think human camps, banished-held locations, etc. Then you'd have Forerunner ruins you could enter to search for artifacts or resources. So how would this all work exactly? Picture you're a custom Spartan, sort of like the character insert Noble 6 from Reach. You start out with a basic armor set, basic weapons, etc. But eventually you find other weapons, caches, wasted human camps to loot, and much more than that. Maybe there's a Forerunner weapon to find that's super rare, I don't know. We've talked about the basic idea from a Halo perspective for a moment, so allow me to explain some Morrowind elements I'd enjoy. In Morrowind, you start out as nothing with nothing. You have to explore and earn your own reputation. You also have a long list of skills to choose from and enjoy. How could these skills fit into Halo? I could imagine repair being a crucial skill, as you're on a ring with limited resources. Perhaps also specific gun skills like automatics, snipers, grenades, etc. Of course, you could have perk trees like Skyrim that allow you to do new things with each skill, such as sniping longer ranges, or shooting better from the hip with an automatic. By far the most important and interesting thing about RPGs in general are the quests. Morrowind allows you to choose whichever ones you want, and they all affect you differently. So here's where the scenarios start to pop up in my head. You're trudging around Alpha Base on the ring when a warthog rushes in. A bloody Marine is sitting in the passenger seat. "We have wounded," the driver screams. Running closer, you shoulder your weapon as the driver hops out and gives you a sitrep. "Charlie Base was just hit by hunters. There are more survivors, but we barely made it out. Here's the location. They need your help, sir." You then get into your personal warthog, or mongoose, ghost, etc. depending on how far in the game you are, and what loot you acquired. And then drive through forests and valleys to reach a fully trashed base camp. You fight hunters, grunts, etc., finding Covenant technology to loot from their bodies. You find the survivors and radio for evac. Once the Pelican hits, the survivors climb aboard and you climb after them. And once back to base camp, you get your reward. Your reward, because it is a game after all, would be a certain amount of credits or something, maybe a new weapon. I can imagine so many quest ideas, such as burning a drone hive, denying the Covenant access to Forerunner tech, quarantining flood research centers. As for a main story, I trust 343 could think of something. Overall, the vast amount of customization options and freedom of RPGs is something that amounts to a great gaming experience, and one that lasts with you. I mean, why do you think Skyrim released 15 times? I just love to imagine my personal Spartan, slowly acquiring pieces of scout armor and exploring a huge Halo ring, finally able to truly process their scale and majesty. Perhaps there would even be an option to have companion characters, maybe even play as an elite or some other species. The possibilities are endless when you think about it. Then again, I know I'm grasping at straws here. We have no confirmation of what the RPG elements will be, yet I am hopeful it will somewhat graze my dream game. But let's also discuss the worst case scenario. By a stretch, you could call Halo 5's intel missions as RPG elements, somewhat optional world building by dialogue. I'm sure 343 has realized this was a mistake, mainly the part about making them separate levels in order to artificially boost content numbers, but we'll see. An important thing to note is that 343 did hire someone with RPG experience to join the production team for Infinite. There was a listing that called for many things, but among those, world design experience with current AAA RPGs. The position has been filled apparently, as it no longer appears on the website. Hopefully they go another way with things other than Halo 5's examples. Frank O'Connor was quoted as saying exploration will be rewarded, and the game was said to have massive open maps. As for the exploration comment, it just makes me think of finding skulls in Halo 2 and 3, honestly, and I wouldn't entirely be opposed to something like that. The ultimate product for me personally would be a large open world set on a Halo ring with character progression and imaginative quests. But Halo does FPS best, and I'm sure I'd enjoy even a glint of the previous idea within Infinite. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like and subscribe. It helps out a ton. Did you like or dislike any of the ideas I had? What would you add if you could? Comment down below and I will reply. That's all for now guys, I'll catch you later.